I just love pedaling. I love the history of cycling. I love the weirdness of it. I love the stuff that it gives me, that cliche about sort of freedom, and I'm 64 this year. I still feel like a kid when I'm riding. I just get joy from it. It's a beautiful spot, very, very quiet, next to a Saxon church. This is her Christmas present, look. She kills the squeak in them. Everybody's seen you now, you show off. I used to like fixing cars when you could fix cars. Now you can't really fix cars, but now I can fix bikes. So yeah, I love everything about it. I am a bit obsessive. So this is a very old shed. This is where I keep all the bikes and some of the beer actually. So we've got all sorts of things in here, including, which is plugged in actually. My Estarli is getting charged up. Look, loads of musettes, loads of race numbers from the events. Pretty big collection of casquettes, race hats. So I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of these. God, this one's really cold. So yeah, loads of stuff that I've collected over the years. Cycling's a big part of my life. So I used to race quite a lot, and the club that I race with, called the Gregarios, have kept close to me since I stopped racing and have become a bit poorly, and and the group captain told me from the moment I was diagnosed that I should get an e-bike. And I'll be honest, because I still thought of myself as a reasonably competent racer, that was difficult. And it took me probably a year to start understanding that what he was telling me was sensible. And I just cursed myself that it wasn't something I'd done earlier. And even when I was super fit and super strong, they would have absolutely had a place in my cycling quiver, all the bikes I'm lucky enough to own. And that place would have been, the popping to the pub thing, the popping down to the shops thing, the taking into London so I get around, the things I do now. This is a Bickerton folding bike, so I'll bring it out. Before then, folding bikes just folded at the frame. They didn't do anything else. This one folds at the frame, the seat post drops, the handlebars fold round. All of the design clues from this are what have gone into making the Estarli. The only difference is the Estarli is a fantastic bike to ride, I think. This is an absolute death trap. For me, it's something that looks right, almost always is right. And so the thing that struck me first about the Estarli was the proportions, the dimensions, just all hung together properly. I liked the way the frame chunkiness matched up against the seat tube with the battery in it. So the battery in the seat tube is such a good innovation. I've rode my bike through London to go to hospital for treatment actually. I've locked it up outside, I've taken the battery upstairs to charge. It just works for me. So those elements of the Estarli, the fact that it had gears and disc brakes were quite important, but I think it was really the practicality of the way the battery and the motor work together and the aesthetic. It looks right and it kind of therefore works for me, yeah. Come on, put your nose out. She's gone. Her cat impersonation has gone. I was an obsessive athlete, lots of long distance events, and I started to notice I wasn't performing very well. And that got worse and worse and worse. And eventually I was diagnosed with a rare heart condition called cardiac amyloidosis and cancer, with bone marrow cancer, multiple myeloma. And so I became very, very ill. The prognosis at that time was really poor. The average survival time for people with that condition was about 7 months. And so I went from being a pretty good age group level athlete to, really struggling to walk up a flight of stairs. And I now have to go through lots and lots of treatment. So it's now ideal for me. I said earlier about how much I love pedaling, and I absolutely love pedaling. But without the help of an electric bike, I couldn't pedal very far, and I couldn't go very far. And so now even though I've got these conditions that are debilitating, I can still ride. I can ride as far as I want to go. I can do all the things that I used to do. I can get all of the sensations that I used to get with the help of an e-bike. So it's made it's laying in hospital thinking, the one thing I want to do when I get out of here is ride my bike again. Well, now I can.